What's up, guys? Iceman here. Welcome to Meditations. So the world's on fire. We're seeing all this volatility. We're seeing Bitcoin dip down to 80,000 or less. And now it's back up to 89,000 or so. We're seeing this shit go all over the place. We're seeing the XRP go up and down all around. I'm actually in the green on that one, so I'm pretty pleased with that. We're seeing silver stagnant, as it always is. I think I bought this stuff in like 2020, and it's barely moved in price. I'm fucking pissed. Blew all sorts of money on this shit, and it hasn't really moved much. Gold, however, bumped up by like 50% or something like that. I made over $1,000 per coin when I sold some a couple months ago. I was quite pleased with that. The S&P 500 just sort of stable, just not really shit happening there. I'm looking at my numbers, I'm like, damn, what the hell's going on here? And fortunately, this is a great time to start. I started putting money into this shit just a couple years ago, but I only started being more serious about it lately. So you guys want to know what I'm doing? I'm putting $40 a day into the S&P 500, that VOO thing. All right. I'm putting $5 a day into Robinhood, or into Bitcoin ETF. Go ahead, talk shit about that in the comments below. But it's going to be fine. $5 a day into the Bitcoin ETF. And I'm putting about $10 a day into some dividend shit, and $1 a day into Apple, $1 a day into Tesla. So I'm just fucking around with that stuff. And I don't intend to stop. All right. Now, this whole $40 a day in S&P 500, now that's only business days. That's 5 days a week. So what does that equate to? I think it's around $800 a month. It's not really sustainable for me. I just have saved money and shit. And I'm tired of seeing that shit get eaten away by inflation. So I decided to just make these reoccurring things. I don't know how long I'm going to do it. At the least, I'm going to be doing this for several months. All right. Yeah. So we're talking $800 a month into this bullshit. And that's not counting the other things. That's not counting Bitcoin, putting $150 a month into Bitcoin, right? Because that is every day, not just business days. Here's why it's the best time ever right now. The shit ain't moving that much, right? Folks is scared. All right? We got this big ass war going on. We got all these tariffs and shit, right? The woke media is all telling everybody, oh, it's going to be horrible. Oh, it's going to be economic destruction. What else are you supposed to do? You're supposed to just let them rip you off continually and pull away all your manufacturing, all your food production until you're fucked? You see what I'm saying? Obviously, the media is going to say all this shit. Media's, they're just stirring up fear, stirring up concern. Oh, it's not going to happen, this, that, and the third. You know, it's a time of fear. It's a time of worry. It's a time of concern. It's a time of war. That's why it's the best time to start buying this shit up. All right? Shit's on sale right now. Now, it could be doom and gloom, right? They're like, Iceman, what if the U.S. economy gets destroyed and never returns? Well, never fucked anyway. I recommend you do what I did. Bought a lot of boomsticks. Bought a lot of the things that fling out of them. All right? Bought a bunch of food storage. I've written the other room here. Bought a bunch of silver and gold and shit. And hell, maybe this stuff will be worth something someday. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's silver, right? The spot price right now is $32 an ounce. I think I bought it at 28, 29. So yeah, I made a little bit, but of course the coin shop, when I try to sell it back to them, they're gonna try to screw me over with the premiums or whatever. So I don't know. Am I breaking even? Probably making a little bit in the green on the silver, but not that much. A lot in the green on the gold, but unfortunately I already sold 4 ounces of it. So I don't have too much of that left. But you see, if it perseveres, if we get through this bullshit, which I think we will, there's green pastures up ahead, all right? This war and shit's going to end one way or another. These tariffs and shit, it's going to start coming to fruition. What their aim is, bringing power back to U.S. assets. I mean, like I said in my last video, Apple's already investing $500 billion in the U.S. economy. It's the biggest single business investment ever in the United States. There's a bunch of other companies following along. Deregulation, all that bullshit. Going to see the gas prices go down no matter what. No matter what the fuck happens on the other side of the world, the gas and shit's going to go down. Which I think should bring down food as well, because a lot of that cost is transportation. It's only about a 1.6% profit margin on groceries. So when you bring up the transportation, it directly brings up the price of that shit. They're barely making any money on the food as it is. And if you deregulate, you got a bunch more people who are able to make it. You could saturate the market with the food. So I think we're going to see that shit coming down too in the next 6 months. But these are my predictions, and I think I'm right. And also, like I said, now's a better time than ever. I mean, if you're not starting, you're like, oh, well, the world's fucked. Why would I start investing? No, man, that's when you're supposed to buy shit. You're supposed to buy shit when it's cheap. You're supposed to buy shit when it goes down. You're supposed to buy shit when it crashes. I mean, imagine how good you would have felt. You remember in 2020 when there's that big-ass fucking crash? Imagine if you were to start popping out money on that thing over the course of those couple of days where it was really bad. You know what I'm saying? It only lasts for a couple of days. If you look at the numbers, go back and look at the numbers. Go on the S&P 500, all the history charts and all that shit. Look at the numbers. Imagine how you would have done if you would have bought that shit when everybody else was scared. You see what I'm saying? Now, I didn't make a really good choice when that happened. I mean, I didn't know shit about investing at the time. And if I did, I probably would have bought that bullshit. I wouldn't have stopped. I know that. I wouldn't have sold it if I know what I knew now. A lot of folks sold it when that shit started going down. And they weren't able to get their money back in when that shit started going way up. Imagine how much of an ass you'd feel like if you're in that position. But it's the time to buy, as far as I see it. The shit's on sale. Because here's another thing, is when it starts going up, like I remember this shit was really high in, when was that, 2023 or something? The shit was really high. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I'm buying this shit at record highs. And I wanted to stop buying it. There's always record highs. I remember I bought gold at a record high. I bought gold and it was $1,800 an ounce. That was near an all-time high. And that's when I bought like all of it. All right. Like all the shit that I have. And obviously that ended up paying off because there was another record high, which is recent. It's about $2,930 an ounce right now compared to the $1,800 when I bought it. But you guys see what I'm saying? Is either way you spin it, there's hesitancy. Point is getting in as early as you can. I wouldn't dump a lump sum in it. That's what I did with a Bitcoin. I've dumped a lump sum in it. I dumped $4,000 in that bullshit. And then we get what we get now, So I'm like negative, I don't know, a couple $100 in it on that $4,000. But I'm still buying $5 a day, no matter what the hell happens. Now, that's a gamble. I don't think the U.S. economy is a gamble as much because if it is a gamble and it doesn't pay off in the end, we're kind of screwed anyway. That means that your cash isn't going to really be that valuable either. It is good to have cash, and I have quite a reserve of cash. That's just what I do. I'm just I just save like a little chickmunk. All right, how chickmunks they stash all their seeds and shit, and they end up dying on top of the fucking mound of seeds. They collect so many damn seeds. But I'm really conservative when it comes to putting money into all this shit. But it's the only way to get ahead. Because like I said, it's getting eaten away, It gets eaten away by inflation, the purchasing power of the dollar. I don't think it's going to change. There's $36 trillion in debt. They just keep printing more of this shit. Even if we pay off that damn debt, there's still going to be trillions and trillions of dollars just kind of being traded. You know what I'm saying? So you got to put that shit in stuff that's going to go up. And people complain a lot about how these are hard times and how the rich getting richer and all that, right? I got a buddy who's saying that. He was saying, oh, Iceman, yeah, you know, so-and-so, he's a little younger than us. Man, I feel bad for these young guys. This guy's 24 years old, right? And he's like, oh, I feel bad for these young guys. And I kind of agree. I was like, yeah, me too, man. It sucks with the rent and all that bullshit. But then I kind of thought about it. I was like, you know what? On the other hand, as much as an uncharted territory it might be, if you're a younger guy these days, I mean, for one, I wouldn't go to school unless if I was like serious and being a fucking doctor or lawyer or something. I won't go to school. I do the best I could right off the bat, right after high school, to just work a basic job, save money, be frugal, buy a used car, get no debt, no credit card. I'd probably live with my parents for a couple years and save money, just try to be wise about it, you know, count all my ducks and put it in shit that's going up. Like that S&P 500 is the most reliable one you can put it in, is that S&P 500. Put it in that shit. And I'd also have a high yield savings account and put a good amount of cash in there. I just keep doing that. Boom, 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 boom. They say now is a better time than ever because now we can get our little cell phones. We have the apps. You know, you can get all those apps where you can just invest on them. That's not how it was even 15 years ago, apparently. If you look it up, even 15 years ago, you know, it's not that long ago. Not everybody was able to just do that shit at their fingertips. You have to go talk to some motherfucker who's going to take a cut. You got to send out a check and all this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay all sorts of fees. It wasn't like free. So you say, oh, the rich are getting richer. Well, here's what you do. Get rich with them. And how do you do that? Well, you buy that S&P 500 bullshit, or you invest in the companies that you think are good and great. Because then you become a partner owner in it. You know, then you're a partner owner to hold shares to this company who's big as fuck, who you keep complaining about just keeps getting richer. So that's what you do is you buy that shit. And then as it goes up, the bottom goes up too. You know, all the folks who are just hanging on the low end of that is if you got a piece of that pie, you're going to be going up with it. And then you can collect the dividends. You can sell that shit later. You can keep working. You can be frugal. That's the craziest part is like this buddy of mine who's talking about reminiscing on this young friend that we know who just tough times, you know, because he's young and world's fucked now. Rent's expensive and all that. The same guy is blowing all sorts of money on alcohol and all this bullshit, right? And you'd think that if times is that tough, that you'd save every penny you could and you'd try to put it in shit that goes up. But that's the thing is folks just don't know about this stuff. I didn't know much about this shit either until a couple of years ago. I started looking into it. I had a buddy who's an MBA from the University of Chicago. I talked to him about this shit. I talked about investing, talking about numbers and shit. And I do remember that's one of the things that he would tell me before he passed away a couple of years ago. He said, Iceman, I was like, well, what's the safest investment? This is what I'd ask him. Because, you know, like I said, I'm very conservative when it comes to spending my money. I don't want to, I bust my fucking ass for that. You know, I don't want to lose it. And I asked him, what's the most conservative investment? He said the S&P 500. So I started looking into this shit. There's a few different ETFs and all that you can get into it. There's some safer ones, I think, is that VU. That's what I put it in. A little bit in that SPY one. Which has a slightly higher dividend, I think. So as you hold this shit, they just give you money, you know, and you could look up into these dividend funds. I look up this SCHD one and this JEPQ one. This JEPQ one, it gives you 10% back a year. And it does have a trail record of ultimately moving upward, an upward trajectory. It's quite new. The SCHD one is older, and this is like an ETF, an index of this shit. So it just kind of accumulates the best companies, the best performers. So there's bad ones, they kick them out and they put the better ones in. So you hold on to that shit and you store your money there, and they'll just give you money every year. They'll give you 10%. It's not a lot, but high yield savings account right now, for example, is about 4%. All right, so you're talking about more than double your money back if you hold your money in that stock. Now, of course, there's risks that come with that, but you got to save your fucking money. You got to put it in these high yield savings account. You got to put your money in shit that's going to go up. And if you complain about the rich getting richer, then get rich with them, dog. Because, I mean, these people, they can't thrive without people buying shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're looking to just, they need people. I mean, we live in a time where the poorest of folks, if we're talking about the United States, the most broke ass people who are all taken advantage by the rich, where they keep saying, they have cell phones, all right? They have like the most advanced technology in the world just in their hand. They have access to everything on the phone, right? They have food, you know, maybe they're on welfare or something. I don't know. They have shelter, you know, so they can get some, if you know what I'm saying. Especially if they're a bad boy. They got swag, you can still get some, even if you're broke. You just got to be a bad boy. The chicks love that. But you guys see what I'm saying? Is we live in a time where the brokest of broke in this fucking country, as long as you're not like some crackhead or something, you can, you know, you can utilize the system if you have to, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has a fucking cell phone. I mean, what were broke folks like 100 years ago? You know, I'm pretty sure they lived in a slum and they died in their own piss. You know what I'm saying? Things are different now. And I would say try to get rich with the rich. If you're upset that they're getting richer, then own a part of their fucking companies. You know what I mean? You can do it with $5. You know, you can do it with $1. Yeah, it's a very small share and you're not going to have a say in what the company does. But you still own that shit and your wealth goes up as their wealth goes up. You see what I'm saying? You could have a say if you own enough of that shit. You could look at the smaller companies as you get bigger and all that. You know, as you get more equity, more cash flow, all that shit. Because obviously the bigger shareholders have a say in what goes on. But yeah, you're going to start out small. You'll be a small fish, but you can still own that fucking company, parts of it, a share of it as it goes up, and your wealth's going to go up too. So, I mean, that's what I am doing right now. I'm putting that shit in the S&P 500. Don't give a shit if there's turbulent times or not. I'm pretty happy with what I'm starting, you know what I'm saying? Because these are turbulent times. That's the best time to thrive. It's the best time to take advantage of is when folks are scared. You got to be greedy because most people thrive on fear. It's addictive, you know. It's all encompassing, and so fear is kind of what a lot of folks run on. So when they're all scared, it's not a bad idea to consider being greedy, just like that Warren Buffett said. See what I'm saying? But anyway, if you guys will like this video, comment your thoughts on this below, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Peace be with you.